Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things, and it is time to do some more digging into that TRS 80 Model 1 that I have. More accurately, we're going to be looking at the expansion unit. The TRS 80 Model 1 itself is working just fine. I've played games on it, I've put it through its paces, it is working great. That expansion unit is working, at least for loading discs, because we did hook the disk drive up to it. So it's functioning that far, but the problem is we're not showing it's not expanding any memory. That could mean that there is no installed memory in it, which means it would just be a pass-through for using a disk drive. Or it could mean that there's some bad memory in there. So I guess there's only one way to find out, and that is to open it up. But first, I have to give a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay, where you can have PCBs printed starting at only $5 for 10 boards. PCBWay has started their winter promotion. There's a Christmas theme promotion from December 12th, 2024 until December 31st, 2024, and a New Year's themed one from January 1st, 2025 until January 12th, 2025. This includes free coupons, as well as up to 3 free prototype productions for holiday themed designs, up to a value of $20 US for each production. See the link in the description for a complete list of promotions and rules. PCBWay, where you can PCB prototype the easy way. The first thing I'm going to do is take the power supply out so that it doesn't bang around inside there. I believe I've also got to disconnect it from the board before I take the board out, so. Now we can take the bottom off. And again, of course, they're using a bunch of different size screws. So the ones on here are longer than the ones here. The ones at the connecting side are the shortest. It's like the board is held in by 3 screws. Ooh, that reminds me. I'll bet you before I take this board out, there's a RS-232 board in here that's probably connected that I'll have to disconnect first. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to disconnect this board. Looks like it may be screwed into place here. Yes, it was. Set these screws back in place. Putting all the screws back in place just so I don't lose any of them. So I always have a really bad habit of doing something like this and being short one screw. So quite interesting that this board, rather than being plugged into anything here, it's just got the leads on the side of the board here, and they're just pressure fit onto connectors with screws. You don't see that very often. So actually, it looks like good thing here. I think these are all the memory chips, and they are all socketed, which is just beautiful. That will make it easy find out if they're, because it looks like the memory chips are fully populated, so definitely the fact that it's showing that as there's the connector for the RS-232 pack. You can see it's just pressure fitting. That's kind of neat. All right. So interestingly enough, these are NEC chips, these memory chips, and they are UPD 416C. And looking online, I could find no data sheets on those. But I do know that these are the equivalent of a 4116. I guess they're just another version of a 4116 because my ColecoVision has a mix of the NEC 416Cs and MCM 4116s for the memory chips, so they're obviously interchangeable. And of course, this is my testing board for 4116s. I can just pop a memory chip in there and test to see if it works. Because I know what what type of garbled screen will come up if it's a bad chip on my ColecoVision here. So that's how I test my 4116s. So this is what it's supposed to look like. For some reason, I'm having a few problems with this ColecoVision again. It's having trouble loading cartridges, and it's taking a minute to warm up. But if it's a good chip, it should say ColecoVision turn game off before inserting cartridge or expansion module. So I will pull this chip out and show you what it will look like if I find a bad chip. One of the reasons that these ColecoVisions are so good for testing things with, because they're very unique in what each chip has as a problem. As you can see, it's just gibberish. That's what this one does. If this chip is bad, it shows up as gibberish on the screen. So this one right here is the connector that goes into the computer, and the first thing I'm going to do is give it a bit of a cleaning. Make sure everything will be able to make good contact. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is just take this satellite board off, I think. I hope. So that's actually just right into that socket there. So now I have full access to all of the memory chips here. First thing we're going to do is see if everything is grounded properly. And the ground pin on all these should be 16. Okay, everything is grounded properly. The next thing we're going to do is hook the power up. And now we're going to test to see if all the chips are getting the proper amount of power. So these are 5 volts on this pin. Okay, and then the pin on the other side should be 12 volts. Yep. And then pin 1 should be negative 5 volts. Okay, all the voltages going into the memory chips look as if they are fine. So I think the next thing I'm going to do, one of the things that I read, I mean, I could bring out my oscilloscope, but I'm going to do that as a last resort. One of the things that I read is that, so this is, 16 and 16K. So a total of 32K in here, and then you should have 16K in the main computer for a total of 48K. Now these, if you take out the memory chips on one row, you should still have the other 16K. So I'm going to pull all the chips out of one row, hook it up to the computer, and see what I get, if it's showing the right amount of memory or not. If it's not, then I'll try pulling the other 16 and put the 16K and put the other 16K back in. And we'll see where we go from there. All right, I have one row of the memory chips out. Satellite board's back on, so I'm just going to set this back in the case. And yeah, let's see what happens when I hook it up to the computer and turn it on. Now, I probably would have used the oscilloscope if these weren't already all socketed. Just this way, it's really easy, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, here we go, and okay, break. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, print memory. 15572, so that's exactly what it says when I don't have this hooked up. Just to show that, I will disconnect everything now. Now we've got it disconnected, and 15572, so it's showing exactly the same thing connected or not. So let's try taking out that other bank of memory and see what happens. Okay. Oops. $15,572. So this does not seem to be working. I think maybe it is time to just individually test these chips in my ColecoVision. See if I have any bad chips. If there's no bad chips, then I know that it's something else on this board altogether. I will be back, and if I find anything, I will show you. And here we are on chip number 16. It appears to be working. All right, well, all the chips have been thoroughly tested and play tested, and yeah, everything appears to be working. So it is not the memory chips, it is something else. So I was just about to pull out the oscilloscope to start testing things on the board, and I kind of figured I was just going to flip the board up on top of the computer like that, because as you can see, of course, it's upside down when it's actually hooked up to the computer here, so it makes it a little difficult to work on. But I figured, hey, why not just give it one more quick little shot before I go and start testing things with the oscilloscope. So what did we end up with? Well, as you can see here on the screen, print memory 48840, or no, 48340 that says. So that means it's now showing all the memory, which means that it was probably just dirty sockets, and that was the reason it wasn't working. So the sockets, I did spray contact cleaner in all the sockets as I was putting everything back in. So I guess that worked. So let's play some games. So as I was playing around with this system, I had a thought. I've got my tape deck hooked up here, and it's got the microphone in on here, and I was talking about building a cable where I could hook up the sound on this, but it's already hooked up to this tape deck, and this tape deck has a monitor on it. So if I push the little latch in here and start the recording on it, you can hear that. It's playing the sound from the game. So I can actually turn it up. Doesn't go very loud, but you can hear the game. So, there you go. We're getting volume out of this now, playing it through the monitor on the tape deck. There we go. Slowly but surely, we are getting this system working again. And yeah, the computer's working, the expansion unit's working. It's just the monitor we have to get working now. So, it's kind of cool also that I figured out you can play sound through the cassette player. So I don't have to worry about building any kind of a cassette sound cable for that. So that makes me happy. Now, what was wrong with it? Well, there was either probably dirty sockets in there, or maybe a chip had come loose, or it could have possibly been the connector itself that connects to the computer. I did give that a cleaning and everything, and maybe it just took plugging it on and unplugging it a couple of times before it started actually working properly. But yeah, the important thing is it works. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to do all that YouTubey stuff, like liking the video, subscribing to the channel, commenting below, all things that really do help my channel out a lot. But until next time, I will see you later.